Okay, there's one other little bit of housekeeping having to do with this each get charge that I want to talk about. So, another step in the Martin Fowler book, that's this book right here. Again, highly recommend it. So now I'm on about page 21, going from page 20 to page 21 on this book. So what he recommends, you notice here now, this amount gets set, but it doesn't get changed anywhere. So it's used here, and then it's used here and here. Okay, so it's declared, it's initialized here, and then its value never changes. If you look down here, there's no more this amount. Okay, so one of the let me show you the change that's recommended, and then I'll talk about it for a second, because at first glance it looks kind of like a funny thing to do. I'm going to stick this call to each charge in both of those places and completely get rid of this amount. Okay. And this is a refactoring. Again, this is another one of those refactoring. I don't see that it appears any place in here, but Martin Fowler calls it replace temp with query. So in other words, the query is, what's the charge, basically, and then he's putting it here. Now this looks like, why would you do something like that? You're forcing the calculation of the charge to be done twice instead of just being done once up here. And that is a concern. And on page 69 of Martin Fowler's book, he talks about refactoring and performance and ways that you can, get around problems like this. But the reason that there are things to do about that to ameliorate those problems and to address the performance issue. But the reason why why Martin Fowler and a lot of people, and I think it's a good idea too, try to get rid of local variables as much as possible is as your number of local variables increase, you can end up having to pass a bunch of parameters where you wouldn't have to otherwise. Another thing, especially as your methods get long, you can imagine having a local variable in here that gets changed all over the place. It can cause real problems, especially if you start you start moving lines around and doing things in different orders. It could make a real mess for you. So you want to try to avoid having any of these local temporary type variables, and wherever it's possible, replace them with a query. And like I said, there are performance issues, but there are ways to address those. Yeah, I'm not going to get into those the ways of dealing with the performance stuff right now, but that's the one last little bit that needs to be taken care of for this get charge business.